please subscribe.
Almost insane.
Hello, how's it going, everybody? I'm Luke Jorger for Hastings Digital. We are a boutique marketing agency on the Hudson in Dobbs Ferry, near Hastings on Hudson, in New York, in the United States of America. We're going to do a video on social media marketing, specifically for artists, fine artists who are looking to increase awareness of their brand and their web visibility and audience development around their brand. We manage a whole bunch of clients and their social media accounts and do all kinds of stuff, which you'll hear about in the presentation. So let's just get started. So we're going to talk about digital strategy and audience development around brands in general. And we're going to talk about really how to build your digital brand on platform, how to increase your ROI. And if you think about ROI in terms of an artist, you're buying supplies, you maybe have a studio space that you pay rent on, you may just want to really get into a gallery and get some shows, you might want respect from your peers. And these are all things that you can really do through the use of social media and marketing in general of your brand. So one quote that I just heard at a University of California, Irvine digital conference at the Mirage School, Road to Reinvention, was somebody from experience said, if you don't think your business has been disrupted, you missed it. And I think you can replace the word business for pretty much anything these days. If you don't think your brand, if you don't think you as an artist, if you don't think your company, you don't think you as a person in general and the way you're marketed to has been disrupted, then you missed it. And it's eventually happening all around you and you need to get on board. So what we're going to cover today, a number of things. So we'll tell you a little bit about what we do, want to hear about what you do, and it doesn't really work as a video, but think about what you do and what platforms you're on when we're talking about this. We'll do a quick social media 101 of platforms. We'll talk about YouTube as a separate platform because I believe, even though it's considered a social media platform, it's essentially a network and acts as a network these days, similar to anything on TV. And considering so many people are unplugging, it really is one of the networks of the future. We'll talk about platform strategy. We'll talk about branding in general. We'll talk about audience strategy, the audiences that you really need to be marketing to. We'll talk about content and the different types of content on social and what you can be making. We'll look at an editorial calendar, which is sort of our kind of go-to, how we organize all of these things into one. We'll look at the power of infographics. We'll talk about Tentpoles and what they are. And we'll also look at landing pages and their effectiveness of taking all of this and making it work. Then we'll do a quick best practices workshop where you should get out your phone and follow along. And we'll talk about Instagram, audience development and branding, Pinterest case study, and Facebook, boosting and targeting. Then there's, at the end, there's really an appendix, which is basically kind of our marketing kind of philosophy, so to speak, on all things digital. So about us, we have over 25 years, 20 years in entertainment in general, in the biz, as a producer and a marketer and a branding consultant and all kinds of things like that, and as a leader in digital teams. I've produced over 200 music videos for lots of different artists, like Fall Out Boy, Rob Thomas, Gnarls Barkley, Chris Cornell, Iggy Pop, Leanne Rimes, and had a show that I directed on Oxygen Network way back in the day, and I've done a ton of music videos for kids for Nickelodeon. We also done marketing campaigns for some big brands, as you can see, and I was also the head of digital at Major League Gaming and World Wrestling Entertainment for a few years on each of those companies, and really kind of helped to transform what they're doing on the live side, live streaming side, as well as on their YouTube channels. So we've also built YouTube strategy for Complex Media and Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia through some companies that we helped consult for, one of them Cakeworks. And we also manage as Hastings, over about 1 million followers across social platforms. We're YouTube certified, Google AdWords partners, and you can see a bunch of our clients there as well. So now I want you to think about something. What are the platforms that you use and how? And these aren't just platforms that you built a channel or you have an account and you haven't touched it in 2 years. Something that you're on weekly or even daily. So on Facebook, who's on there? Who's on there with a fan page? Do you have a business page? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Instagram as an artist or an individual? Think about that. Or do you mix the two and create a mishmash of your family and friends and your art? Are you on Pinterest, YouTube, Vimeo, Snapchat, Tumblr, Reddit, Google+? What platforms are you on? Do you have an AdWords campaign running for your brand? Who knows? Think about these things, and you should be aware of all of those different things that you are doing. So social media in sort of a nutshell. This is an old graphic from 2014, but I think it's fun to show the differences. The definition here from Wikipedia: social media are computer-mediated technologies that allow the creation and sharing of information and career interests and other forms of expression via virtual communities and networks. So, what are these things and how are they working? So the big social platforms include Pinterest, which is a really discovery site. And if you think about it, it's like the ultimate rabbit hole. You put in a search term, a visual term that you are looking for, and it just comes up with millions of suggestions and things that you can find, and boards that you can look at around what you're trying to do. It's great for inspiration. I know a lot of people who create a board when they're working on something or creating a project, and they'll use that board and share it with other people on the project. So it's great for that, and it's super creative. It's mostly female at this point. Mostly women are on that platform, like 80-20. And it probably has about 300 or 400 million users, unlike what it says on this board. Twitter, the real-time network, especially for 5 a.m. When the president is feeling frisky and wants to talk about something. And a lot of people on it post multiple times per day. People check it multiple times per day. It's a really huge opportunity to get out real-time information. It's got about 350 million users at this point. So we have Facebook, which is the big social network, the beast here, with over almost 2 billion people on it at any given time. What I really like about what it says here is it's non-obtrusive in terms of it being an advertising tool. In that same way that you listen to a radio ad on a station right after a song, that feels obtrusive. In the way that a commercial comes on during a show that you're watching feels very obtrusive. It's really in your feed, it's non-obtrusive, it comes up, it might feel like that, but it's less obtrusive than a lot of other things. So it's up to about 2 billion users at this point. So after Facebook is Instagram, and Instagram is owned by Facebook. It's a very visual, it's a great site for looking at pictures and other kind of go down the rabbit hole kind of thing. It's really driven by a lot of hashtags, which are sort of a searchability tool. And it's got about 600 million people on it here. A lot of young people use it to communicate. A lot of people are using it even to post a photograph and then add like a long description, almost like a blog. Brands are using it in good and bad ways. So it's really a huge tool for a lot of brands. So Google Plus is on here as a result of just being a potentially big network. The reason it has 540 million users is because you can't have a Gmail account without having a G Plus page. So there's almost this kind of forced default there by Google, and I do think that they're going to eventually do something with it. It could be a competitor for LinkedIn at some point. It could be a competitor to Pinterest because it's so visual, but essentially they're holding on to it, and there's been a lot of talk about what they're going to do with it instead of just kill it. LinkedIn is your sort of go-to for looking for a job, networking with people in your business, posting your resume, getting out your information to lots of people. It's a really amazing place to blog. We use it weekly for some of our clients who just do a blog on the site with a video embed, and it does incredibly well, and it shows up in the feed, and we've seen amazing growth on LinkedIn. I think it's got probably about 500 or 600 million users at this point, and its stock is quite valuable, so people really obviously have some faith in it. The next page is YouTube, and I put YouTube as a separate page because of its power as being the second largest search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. It's really, eventually going to replace a lot of those people who have unplugged. It's going to become their go-to network. You can get movies on it now. You can subscribe for a couple dollars a month and get no ads. There's just some incredible stuff that you can do with YouTube, and it's getting bigger and bigger. People always say, oh, YouTube's dying, but people are always searching for video. And now when you search for something in Google, just as a search term, they're serving you video. The way it works in the rev share world of YouTube is that Google gets 45% of all rev, and you get 55% of an ad that's served. So every time you see an ad on a channel, if that person is monetizing their channel, they're seeing a certain CPM on there based on what the value of their ad is. So if they have a $10 CPM, they're getting $10 for every 1,000 views. CPM, meal, M is for meal, 1,000 in Spanish. So those things really you have to think of and keep them in mind when you're dealing with such a huge potential network. And I think the content, video content in general, easier to watch, Wi-Fi is faster everywhere you go. It's just a different world that we live in terms of video. And YouTube, you should either be on it or be engaging somehow with it. So I want to do a quick marketing overview, marketing strategy in general, and marketers might disagree with this, what we have here, but I think this is really great look at the pillars of marketing in the digital age and how they can be used. And basically, you have positioning, content, strategy, and growth. And if you think of positioning as your brand, what is your brand positioning? Define it. Make sure that there's messaging and a value proposition around what you're giving to people. Who are you? What is your brand to others? And when we talk about value proposition, people want to know what they're going to get. You think about a school asking for money from their alumni. If they're not giving anything back to the alumni, why should you give? You need to create a network for your students and alumni that they can use when they graduate. If they feel that that is something that's valuable to them, then they might want to give when you make that phone call. If you haven't touched them in 20 years and you suddenly make a phone call, hey, they're going to say, what have you done for me lately? Why am I giving you money? It's unlike a radio station or a TV station saying, donate to us. When you've been watching all year long their programming, you're going to want to make that donation because it's dear to your heart and they've been actually giving you a value proposition. Value proposition goes a number of ways. You can have a value proposition in a piece of electronics that works when you try to use it. It's a value proposition in a flower when you buy it and it smells good and makes you happy when you look at it. You've got to have that value proposition and you have to be true to your brand and be consistent. From there, you can then create a content strategy. And that's really a platform and posting strategy that is consistent. And to me, that's one of the most important things, especially on social, is being consistent. Pick a day that you're going to, or days that you're going to post, and always do it. It's like a primetime lineup. People know SNL is on at 11:30 at night. They know that Game of Thrones is going to be on Sundays on HBO. Now people do binge watching, but there's still a certain primetime kind of mentality. And people like to see that this thing is happening every week, that they're going to get an alert, they're going to get a new photo, they're going to get a new video at a certain time. They anticipate it, and it really shows. And when we release a video or a blog, on a certain day we see the spike. And it's the top of that spike is every time we release it, you get your peak number of viewers at that time. So you really need to have that strategy. That's your editorial content strategy. You got to do sort of R&D around your brand, and that's really just researching who else is out there that is doing what you're doing, is good at it, has a lot of followers, and is somewhat engaging, and might follow you back if you follow them. So really make a list of everyone out there. Make a list of the galleries, make a list of the museums who are online and on social, and start following them. And that's really your project that you need to be always thinking about. Partnership strategies are another hugely important thing, and that sort of goes into the whole research piece, right? All right, so there's this gallery, and I really want to be part of their on their roster. Twitter, and I'm going to follow them, and I'm going to @tag them every time I put up a piece of my art, because I think they might actually represent me one day. That's partnership. You should have a strategy around that. What are your peers doing? Where and how can you engage with them? And then also have a PR strategy where you might get into a small blog or something like that. Be able to share that out if it happens. You never know, it might get picked up by the arts section of a major newspaper or something, if you're lucky. And then the third piece, once you have these two kind of really huge pillars in place and you're making good content, think about growth. And there's three kinds of growth. There's only two that we're going to talk about here because the third one is nasty and we don't really like to talk about it. But basically, organic growth is the first one, and the one that's costs nothing and is really just takes a lot of work and you need to just do. So organic strategy is liking, retweeting, getting your posts out there, making sure that you're engaging with the audience, commenting back, answering questions, telling people thank you. That's organic, and coming up with really going down the rabbit hole and creating a group of people that you're following. And this could be you're sort of you want to have 1,000 followers. And you'll follow like 300. You want to think about that ratio, right? Like, okay, am I following too many people? Am I over posting? I don't think you really can over post that much, but you want to just think about it in terms of like, sort of selective, but also you got to get your numbers up. So maybe you do follow a lot of people at first, and then you sort of purge it after a while, and then bring it back. That's organic. The next one is paid, and paid promotions are basically investment in growth. Right? And you're basically taking some money and you're putting it toward growing your following or getting engagement or getting people to like you and essentially pushing out your brand so you can create some ROI based on that. What that is doing a tweet campaign where you're looking for people to follow you on Twitter. It could be Facebook boosts, Facebook likes campaign, it could be a LinkedIn campaign, it could be AdWords. You can run Instagram through Facebook. They're both sort of integrated in terms of running promotions. Now, you're not going to get organic, but you're going to get pretty engaged followers who are right for your brand. And chances are they're people that really don't know about you. And we'll talk about audience strategy in a minute and the different audiences that are out there. But basically, this is an audience that doesn't know you exist. And you need to use paid to get to them, right? So the other piece of this, which we don't really talk about, is like the dark side. And essentially, that's just buying followers, buying likes. And you literally can go and get 10,000 followers on Twitter for $49.99. Chances are half of them will be gone in a few months because it's going to purge. But you can do it, and you can just increase your numbers. And a lot of times, nobody even knows or cares. And that's your credibility piece. Are you going to go with the plumber who has a lot of followers and a lot of comments on social, or are you going to go with the plumber who doesn't even have a website? Chances are you're going to go with the one who's sort of engaged, right? And you're going to like respect the fact that they have this group in them. So you really need to think about it that way from a credibility standpoint. And then it's really important to set your goals and benchmarks, right? Where do you want to be in 3 months? Where do you want to be in 6 months? Set these goals and you can get there. We guarantee a 300% increase purely organically in followers. If a brand comes to us, we can definitely, we're not going to, if they have a million followers already, we can't get them 3 million. But if they have, in the hundreds and small thousands, we can definitely do that just by sort of using audience development tips and tricks and tools that we have. Okay, so now we're going to talk about platform strategy and what platforms are right for you and for your brand. As an artist, I would say Instagram is the really go-to, and it's the first thing that comes to mind for you to be on and be on aggressively. It's described here as one of the internet's most popular social networks, blah, 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 but I really like the last bit where it says, it's a great platform for artists to show their work and for followers to get hooked on peeking into their creative process. That's awesome. So many things you can do. You're not just going on Instagram and posting a picture of your art. You could also show it halfway done. You could show the process of it. Do a time-lapse video of you doing the art. You could do all kinds of incredibly creative things within that platform that go outside of just the basics. So a lot of Instagram accounts for artists, they don't even really have their art. It's almost like behind the scenes. Maybe it's some of their family and stuff like that. I don't really think that's great for people who are emerging to create your Instagram account. But if you're an established artist, people want to see behind the scenes and take a peek at what you do. You can always go to the website for the really to get the picture of the kind of art that they're doing and see the photos of the art and to actually make a purchase. The other thing I really like here is that it actually acts as an art dealer. So when you think about an ad being served on Instagram by an artist, there's clickability there that can then take you to either their website or to some place where you can make a conversion and actually buy something. So there's a few links here we're going to take a look at. The first one is from Complex Media, and it's basically 50 artists to follow on Instagram. And if you jump in and take a look at it, you'll see a long list of all these artists who are really cool and have pretty big followings, and you can get an idea of what they're doing on the Instagram platform. So have a look at that, and just click on a couple of the names and take a look at what they're doing, and look at the likes that they're getting, and look at the comments that are happening, look how much video they're posting, and you'll get an idea of sort of best practices on the Instagram side. So we're not really a branding agency so much as we appreciate a good brand. We sort of know what to look for, and I think that we understand the consistency and what goes into making a good brand, and we can spot a bad one. This is just a really obvious example of great branding. You have something that is incredible form and function, right? It's like the way it works is incredible, and then it also looks really cool. So people want to have it as an item. They covet every time a new iPhone comes out. Every time there is a new product and they do a keynote, everyone freaks out. And that directly relates to the man who is the center of this universe, or was. And you really look at him and you look at the product, and they gel and they're consistent and it works. And he really sort of created He created it in his own image, in a way. I hate to use that term, but it's almost like he did create Apple in his own image. And you can see that here. He almost looks like the phone. The other thing about this I really like is it says, what is the promise to your followers? Ultimately, what your brand becomes is the promise to your followers. People want to know what they're going to get. They don't want to watch a show and it's totally, it takes off from what they're used to. You don't want to watch Game of Thrones and there's no naked girls and no swords. It's like you want to know what you're going to tune in for, and you know what you're going to get. It's important that a brand fulfills that promise to the people who follow it and watch it and buy it. And that's really happening more and more by brands who understand good branding. So let's talk about audience and strategy around audience and types of audience. So there's really two audiences in terms of what is out there potentially for you, we believe. Audience one is your core audience, the people who either already follow you or are easy sell. You know that they're in the arts community, they're around you, they're friends and family. It's not hard to get them on board. It might be the people in the room where you're in right now. They should all be following you if they're not. It's basically people who are highly likely to participate, and it's got a high conversion rate to applicant, meaning that if you go out there to 20 of them, 18 are going to follow you back. And from there, maybe 5 of them will actually convert and buy something from you. Conversion rates are usually 0.001% based on however many millions of impressions you're serving. This audience is you're going to get a little bit closer to to really making the conversions happen. So they're easy to reach organically. You don't have to pay money, and it's your core audience. You're not going to lose them. Chances are they'll stick by you through thick and thin without having to pay anything. So the second audience which is the harder to reach audience, which is the larger audience, and the new audience, which is the most coveted thing, is new audience, is the audience that really is outside your traditional reach. They're the audience that you need to hit using paid means, using more aggressive organic marketing. They're the audience that doesn't know that they like you because they don't even know you exist. They will like you if they find out that you exist, so let's reach them somehow. They can discover you via paid social. They can discover you through the network of other artists. They can discover you through the press and social media. They can discover you through other partnerships with people that they respect and know, and they can discover you through sponsored and paid activity. You literally can say, all right, I want to reach all of the women in Westchester, New York, who earn more than $250,000 a year and have bought a piece of art in the last 6 months. You can target those things and you can reach that group either through Facebook or AdWords and many different ways. You can really try to hit that targeted group and you can reach them. If you think about the way YouTubers partnered back in the day, there would be 1 million followers for one gamer, and there would be 1 million followers for another gamer. They never looked at each other as competitors. It was like, okay, you're playing the same game, the same level as me, and we have 1 million followers, but you have 1 million followers that I don't have, and I have 1 million followers that you want. Let's get together and play the same game, same level, and play against each other. And then they wake up in the morning and they have 1.5 million followers each because they've cross-pollinated, they've scratched each other's backs. They've done this thing that gamers really understood in the early days of YouTube. All YouTubers get it. And that I think I don't think there is competition anymore. I think there's really an opportunity these days to say, okay, for a brand that's doing a similar thing, to cross-pollinate and both benefit. I don't really believe that sort of old school competition that you can't, ever mention the name brand of your competitor. I think that's kind of ridiculous these days. Those are your two audiences, and there's a lot of ways to reach them. Audience number 2 is informed by analytics and targeting, and you can really get to them in these many different ways. And they're your other audience, your new audience, your bigger audience, and you should definitely not settle for audience number 1. Let's talk about content for a minute. So content comes in many shapes and sizes and guises, right? You have video content, you have stills, you have music, you have audio, you have all kinds of content that can be shared and used in so many different ways, right? Written content. There's a few examples here of videos that are really different in that they represent content that artists have made in very different ways. So the first one, take a look at it. It's very meticulously drawn stop motion animation of somebody doing a charcoal piece with some music, and you take a look at this. You say, oh, it's really pretty, and then you take a look at the amount of subscribers this person has, 185,000 subscribers, right? They're a RISD student who's graduating in 2020, and they have this incredible channel, and they're making all this beautiful stuff. And that's like, wow, that's pretty successful, right? As a creator and as an artist on YouTube, and how they use social is probably just as impressive. The other video here is a kind of another stop motion idea, much more sort of down and dirty. Somebody just kind of put up their phone and shot it, and probably sped it up or something like that. It's on a channel that by a company that makes markers, it looks like, and they have decent subscriber base, and they're got a bunch of views on this, and they probably partnered with this artist to create the video, and we're like, hey, we'll shoot this or something, or let's take that video that you did already and let's put it up on our site, and we'll scratch your back and you scratch ours, and we'll all share it on social for a couple weeks, and it's totally a great relationship, I'm sure, for a number of reasons, and help both brands really get the word out about what they're doing. This symbiotic relationship going on there, for sure. The next video is different in that It's much higher production value. Obviously, they went in with a crew. They spent some time, getting the lighting right and the sound, and they shot a lot of B-roll, and they used like some DSLR cameras and some nice lenses, and they edited it together nicely and packaged it up. It didn't do that well. They probably spent a couple bucks on it, but it's very different in its style and what it is. And it's just another example of good video content around art. It's actually a really beautiful video. There's a couple other things here. I wanted to show you some @tags for the museums that they use, and that's sort of the name of their brand on social is @BritishMuseum, @Museum Louvre, at the Museum of Modern Art. Here's some hashtag examples. And what is a hashtag, right? So think about a hashtag, and it's really a way of creating searchability around a term that relates to what your post or your work is. It also puts you into a list that's basically generated by that hashtag. So these are really general hashtags, like art or artist is super, super general. But it's a much wider searchability within that hashtag than you would have if it was super specific. So I think it's good to do a combination of like what you do. Like if you're into watercolor, it's like you're watercolor and I'm also an artist. So maybe those are two separate hashtags. And you can go into a little minutia, hashtag watercolor flowers or something. You'll probably see a few hundred or 1,000 posts around that one topic, and then you basically will show up in the feed under that hashtag if people are searching it. So it creates a searchability tool, a searchability term. The other two examples here are, one is just an Instagram page by this artist, and you sort of get an idea of what they're posting and how they're doing it, and they have a lot of followers, and they're definitely out there doing the right thing in terms of posting art. It's a little all over the place, but there's a certain feel to it. I really like this tweet by the Museum of Modern Art. It's "What does de Kooning painting sound like?" That's just talk about clickbait. That's like a really great sort of clickable word. I love videos that are like, "This is the greatest video you'll see all weekend." That was something that we used back at Major League Gaming, and it was just like got tons of clicks. And it was because people were like, "Oh wow, yeah, let me watch this. It's gonna be the greatest thing I've ever seen." This is like, what does a de Kooning sound like? It's so great. Look carefully at what they're selling, right? What are they pushing here? It's basically a MoMA, a Coursera partnership where MoMA has a course about post-war abstract painting on Coursera. So basically you say, okay, I'm watching, I'm looking at my Twitter feed, and like, I'm really into Pollock and de Kooning, and like this comes up, and I clicked on it, and like, oh my, there's actually a course I can take. I can pay like $300 or $400. I don't know how much it is, but to take this course on that subject, like there you go, and they have a whole bunch of likes and retweets on this. It's probably talking about ROI on this one post. I'm sure there were a few people who said, hey, I'm going to take this, or I'm going to share it with somebody who might. So that's a really effective piece of social media right there. Okay, so this page really just is a quick kind of snapshot of a bunch of different artists on Instagram and how many followers they aggregate have. Some of them are verified, some are not. The little check means they're verified. So take a look at that. You see how many followers they have. But I like the idea of aggregating all the people that I follow or all the people that are following me, and that is really the number that you are reaching in some ways. It's sort of like almost your potential impressions. So out of all of these pages, there's about 2 million followers if you add them all up. So if they follow you back, you really want to look at how many followers they have, because that's a possibility that those followers, there's a residual effect there that it's going to hit what you're doing. So we talked a little bit about hashtagging. Here's a few examples here. So one thing I want to talk about metadata hierarchy for a minute, because when you think about it from a YouTube perspective, and I think it's also, you can think of it in terms of Instagram here as well. When you create a YouTube video and you are working with a thumbnail, a title, and a description, those things create a hierarchy in your mind. So when you're looking at YouTube, the first thing you see is the thumbnail. The next thing you see is the title. And the third thing you see is the description. All right? And that process creates your willingness or your desire to click. Okay? Chances are you're going to get through the thumbnail and the title and maybe the first line of the description, and you're going to know, and you're going to move on. Sometimes just the thumbnail, and then you keep moving. But that's how your sort of brain works. Those things hit your sort of neurons and like your wheelhouse. You're going to go there. So you have to think about that hierarchy when you're creating a post. What are the things that you're going to hit that are going to make people want to see this quickly, or they're going to move on? All right, so this is an editorial calendar that we use. It's something that we use all the time for every single one of our clients and everything we do. And essentially this is like a 2 weeks, 3 weeks of editorial calendar. And the reason I wanted to just point this out is this is a great way to organize your social media schedule. You know, it's, we are very boutique in the way that we do things. We do not use Hootsuite. We post everything manually. You never know when a photo is going to be fit the right way or a graphic's going to work. And we like to see notifications, and we like to be in there. It's very easy just to, like, you know, post and walk, and we just don't like to do that. What I think is important to look at here is just strategically the way we kind of build out an editorial calendar. And I think if you think of the 4 pillars of messaging that are potential here, we like to say, okay, information. For people who don't know who we are, what we're doing, this is the information. This is the 101. This is the most basic info about the brand. The second piece is something that's fun and makes the brand kind of shine and stand out. Like, what is it that, what's cool about us? Like, here's a photo, or here's like something that inspired us. The next one really is inspiration, though, and also is like makes you cool. And I think that that's the cool factor, and makes somebody want to follow you, either to like or convert or follow or comment. That's your call to action. And that's your potential conversion. Like me, follow me, buy me, all those things. But I think you need to establish the first 3 before you get there. It's that same concept of like, what have you done for me lately? Why do I care? And make them care, make them enjoy what you're giving them, fulfill your promise, and then ask for something. Then it's okay to ask. I don't think it's okay to ask if you're just asking for no reason. You have to give that promise and give them that opportunity to like. So that's kind of just a quick cadence of like how we would craft a week or 2 week kind of editorial calendar. Just want to talk about infographics a little bit. These are some infographics that we've created for some clients. Essentially, the thing about infographics that's nice is you can take something that exists and kind of repurpose it a little bit. And you can also make it super clickable. And you can take information and really convey it in like sort of a bold and fun way. So we'll have like an agenda for something, or we'll have a long description of something that's happening. And we like to pull out the keywords and like sort of the most kind of catchy phrases and things like that, and put them in big bold type over an image that relates to the brand. So we've done this for University of California, Irvine with their agenda. We took it, we broke it down. It's a little wordy still, but there's some pictures and infographics. It's a little bit more fun than just like going to the website. We did it for this college, Mercy College. We did it for a book promotion. It's really simple, boom, right to the point. And then you see on the bottom, on the right, it's like, this is how it all comes together. And you've got the at tagging, you've got the hashtagging, you've got the infographic, you've got the description, you've got the photo, you've got the potential to boost. There's your sort of, that's where it all comes into the funnel. And it's like, okay, I can do this now. And there's your post. That's an effective post, I put this in because I thought it was funny. Whiteboard videos are just like, for $197, you can get a 30-second whiteboard video about your brand. You literally send your website to them, and they just make it. It's not very good. They look really kind of cheesy. I'm sure you can spend more and get like a less cheesy version. But the thing about this is like they work, right? These guys have done some data. People watch them. People remember video. People like to engage with this stuff. So if it's the kind of thing that you think about, just video in general, some of those other videos that we watched before, it's just a really great way to reach people visually. And I'm not saying that as an artist you do this, but maybe you think about creating your own version of a whiteboard video to tell people what your brand is and what your value proposition is. Tentpoles. So this is a catchphrase, people hear it all the time, like, okay, you have a tentpole event coming up. It could be your book release, it could be any, a holiday. The way to think about it though is you need to anticipate the tentpole. The tentpole is the event at the very top. It's when the book comes out. It's Halloween. It's Christmas. It's like the election. And whatever you could do to ride that wave, you need to really do that. If you have a gallery opening or a book coming out and you don't promote it until the day of, you're crazy. You've really made a huge mistake and you've lost all this momentum. You want to lead people to that place so that when they get there, that's when the conversions happen. That's when all the activity happens. I don't care if it's just you suddenly get 500 followers that day. You've been telling them that you're going to be there that day, and so say you have a live event and you're streaming it, right, on Facebook or something. You want to get all the likes on Facebook before the event goes live so that you can actually promote it and get the views when it's happening. So don't wait to the last minute. There's some Google Trends stuff that you can look at. Just think about it in terms of like what are the things that are coming up. And holidays are great. Valentine's Day, Passover, Christmas, whatever. So say you're an artist, but you're a great cook. You're making an amazing turkey. Say, oh, I'm going to make an amazing turkey. I've been drawing it and I've been thinking about it. And here's a still life of fowl. But on Christmas, that's when you really are gonna push out some really cool turkey paintings or something. Who knows? So landing pages. This is where it all kind of comes into play. And as an artist, I'm not saying you have to have a landing page, but you have to have a place where you're gonna send people. And all of this activity on social has to have direction. And you have to have a place that you're driving your traffic. You can drive traffic to the social networks. You can get your likes and followers. You can even sell on the social networks. But if you're serious about this, you want to have a place for people to go to make a conversion as in the easiest way possible, in the least amount of clicks. And a landing page, a simple, straightforward landing page, is an easy way to do that without having to build a website. Everyone's like, oh my God, I got to build my website, and I've got an about page and a home page and all my art there, and then everything I ever did, in college, and all this other cool stuff, and I've got to design it and hire somebody and spend a ton of money. No. Think of it as like 1 or 2 pages, 3 pages. You have a simple thing up front. People fill out their name and their email. Get them into an email list that you're creating. We don't talk a lot about email lists and MailChimp and Constant Contact and things like that. But that's really another way of looking at building up your audience. If you can create a great email list, there's a lot of opportunity there. And using these landing pages to do that is a great way. You can sell things on the landing pages as well if you have an e-commerce site, but gather names, capture people using this tool. It's a great way to get people to give you their information, but also to show off your work. So here's some really straight up landing pages. The most important thing is that it's mobile optimized. So use a Wix or a Squarespace or something like that to kind of create the site and make sure it works. Here are some landing pages that I think are visual for artists that really work. This one's like, you can sponsor artists on this one, but I love the big red dot, big red join us button. Those are the kind of things people click on. And then the one on the right, on the bottom, it's just like you see the person's art straight up, you know what they're doing, you know who they are, you know it works, and they have a few, 3 pages there. And it's really straightforward. There's nothing too crazy here and overly complex. There's no necessarily a fill out form here, but I like the simplicity of it. So that's the last slide in that whole piece. And landing pages are at the end for a reason, because they are of utmost importance. Because that's your traffic driving strategy. When you're driving people from social, when the bottom of that editorial calendar, the last one, the call to action, very likely would be a link to the landing page. You want to send people somewhere. It's great to get your likes and follows, but you have to create that conversion if you're serious. So now we're going to talk best practices a little bit around three of the platforms. You should pull out your phone and kind of follow along if you want to, and I think it's a really good way. This is just some strategy of how to go down the rabbit hole and increase your following. I want to start here with just overall kind of branding on Instagram. And I think when you're starting out, it's important to give a really clear message of what your brand and your style is up front. You can change your style, but just try to keep it consistent month to month at least. There's this really awesome fitness brand, and what they do, their Instagram is by color. So they'll have like all these outfits that are green, and they'll do like a whole month of that, and all outfits are red for a month. And it's really nice to scroll and see the way that sort of color changes. And say you're into green or into red colored, spandex, workout gear. It's an old school material, but you'll go to the red one and you'll be like, oh, I love that. Click on it and check it out, and maybe you'll buy something. There's 3 accounts here. 2 of them are sort of local businesses and artists, and they've really kind of gone with this sort of very consistent kind of theme to what they're posting. And then there's Andy Leibowitz's Instagram, and I love I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I like the consistency of what she does, and she's like so consistent as an artist that you look at this stuff, you're like, oh, that's Annie. Even though you've got like an old Diane Keaton here, I think, and a portrait of her, and some Game of Thrones stuff from recently, it's still like this is Annie's Instagram page, and you see how many followers she has, and she has a successful page and it works. People love her. So she's doing something right. She's not mixing it up with like, some picture of her, living room or like a picture of her nephew. It's her work. This is the rabbit hole in a lot of ways here. Take some time to look at this, but basically I'm going to walk through it in a really simple way. So this is one kind of audience development on Instagram to help you get followers. All right, there's lots of other ways. This is not the be all and the end all. You can just go in and like a lot of stuff and comment on a lot of stuff. Those are other ways. This to me is a cool way of following people that are within your sort of brand and around what you do. So this was spurred by the account in the middle here. It's a wallpaper company, they sell vintage wallpaper, and they do a lot of interiors, and we were doing some brand building for them. And basically, we start from, in our account, you start at the search, the little magnifying glass, and it gives you suggestions. It basically starts to suggest all of these accounts that you're not following, that you might want to follow. So from there, you look at it and you say, oh, kind of, let's look at this one. This is like a cool sort of Versailles looking interior with like kind of a wallpapery vibe going on, and I sell wallpaper, so let me click on that. And you click on it, and it comes to an Instagram account that is by this guy, and you're like, okay, cool, let me like that. I'll click on it twice, and you get a little heart comes up, and that's cool. And then, oh, it actually brings up, I'm going to follow him, and it's going to bring up, I'm going to follow him, and it's going to bring up a bunch of suggestions. And those suggestions are people that guy's following. And their suggestions, I think they're in hierarchy of number of followers within each one. So you're getting what the big time people that guy follows. So I go in there and I literally will just like follow the first like 10 or 20 and not even really think about it. Because I know they're sort of in that world. If something comes up where it's someone I hate, I'll stop there. But chances are it's, brands that I don't know, people who are in interior design and do what I do, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to click a whole bunch of them. I'm going to get to one that's like, oh wow, this is like really seems like a cool one. Let me take a look at this page, and it just happens to have this roll of beautiful wallpaper on it. And I'm like, oh wow, this is DeGournay, this huge wallpaper company. It's been around for hundreds of years, and like they make beautiful, incredible murals and patterns and stuff. And I'm like, let me go a little further down here and click on them that they got @ tagged. Let me click on them and see what's going on. And I go, oh, wow, they have 65,000 followers. That's really cool. They do kind of what I do. They sell wallpaper, and so do I. And I'm going to follow them. And then I'm going to hope that they follow me back. And I'm going to say, holy cow, you know, they have 65,000 followers. If they follow me back, I'm potentially exposed to that number now. And you have this opportunity to really reach this huge audience because you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole and just kind of been smart about it, had fun with it. You should have fun with doing this. This is like not, shouldn't be a chore. I mean, it is, it's work, but you're working to build your brand, so there is a certain level of work involved with that. But I think it's really enjoyable if you sort of, you know, get into it and, you know, have a glass of wine and sit there and boom, follow a bunch of people. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You're not going to, you know, not everyone's a serial killer that's on the internet. They're not going to all come out and just, you know, start trolling you and destroying you with comments. Especially if you're, you know, they're trying to do the same thing you are. They're trying to build their brand and be on social and be a good digital, you know, a digital citizen. So I wouldn't worry too much about going down that hole. You know, maybe they'll comment something and say something nasty and you unfollow them. But this is one way of doing it. This is a cool way of just saying, okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to sort of build it up. I promise you, if you do this, as you're doing it, you're going to get followed by like 5 or 6 people on the spot. It's just going to happen. It's just as crazy. You might not get followed by the people that you follow, but you're going to get followed by people that follow them, and then so it's really cool in that way. So have fun with it. Let's talk about Pinterest for a minute. So these are just basic stats on Pinterest. You know, there's a lot of things in here that are impressive in terms of, you know, millennials' use of it, the market value, the scope of it. I mean, we're talking 75 billion ideas. You know, like, that's crazy. How many, you know, 50 billion pins and 1 billion boards. Okay, so that's pretty insane. We're going to just jump right into one of them. And this is an account that I think is really awesome. And basically, this account is by somebody who's super passionate about Pinterest and about art and uses it as a tool to spread their kind of ideas and what they're working on and actually get their work out there and say, like, look what I'm doing. Look what I painted. Look what I sculpted. Look at the job I did. You know, I was doing styling, food styling, and check out the book after it comes out. Check out these this set that I worked on. Check out the inspiration for the set that I was thinking about before I even started the job, and I shared it with the designers that I was working with and the director of the play, and they said, "Oh, cool! I love this, and I don't like that, and like you should go here." And it's a great way to do that. And then also just you can see sort of the scope of how big and how much work. Look at the amount of pins in each one of these. This is years of kind of working to create a great Pinterest page or channel. And you see, she doesn't have any followers really. So it's like, that's not why. It's not the reasoning behind this. This is like for passion. This is for just like loving what you do. And you know, there is an opportunity to grow and to sell on Pinterest, which we sort of talk about here. You know, you can do promoted pins, and you see sort of who they're after, you know, cosmetic companies and things like that. And you see who's advertising on here, you know, Joss & Main and, you know, Home Depot and all kinds of brands are advertising their stuff. So if you click on cabinet or you click on, you know, florals, you're going to get all these kind of photos come up, but then you're going to get like Home Depot and an ad for this cabinet, blah, 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 and then you're down the rabbit hole, and then it shows up in your Facebook feed, and blah, blah, blah. So, but it's super visual, it's great. I think there's an opportunity to get your workout on there, and you can definitely do that. You know, you think about Etsy in terms of a tool to sell things, and I don't talk about Etsy here because it is not a social media platform. It's like a eBay or an Amazon more so, and that's just not where we're going. You can advertise on Amazon. You got a book on Amazon, you can freaking buy ads. Amazon will sell them to you. and just promote the hell out of your book on Amazon. But I think that these are the social platforms that can be used to drive to places like Etsy, places like your landing page. Think of Etsy as a landing page more so than a platform. You want to drive people to there. They provide it for you. So talking about Facebook targeting now. So this is a really straight up simple example of a boosted post. You can do like campaigns on Facebook as well, which are different. They're more like a ad unit that's created and they show up on the right rail. These are more, these boosted posts show up in the feed and they're super targetable. And what you can do, going down the line here, you pick the name of the campaign, you pick your demographic, if it's men or women, and the age group. You pick location. You can literally go down to 10 miles within a radius. So you pick a city, how many miles you want to do, or you can just type in a country. You can do it internationally. You can go into targeting. The targeting is pretty deep, and it's like if you want to say, I want to do drawing and etchings, around hobbies and blah blah blah. You can see here how we sort of built out a sample target demographic, and then from there you pick your duration and how much you want to spend, and it shows you how many people you're going to reach, and those people are potential audience for you to engage with or even sell something to. You can full-on sell on Facebook. People are making millions of dollars just by selling products on Facebook, and they build pages, and that's all they do. This is more kind of boosting a post that you have on your Facebook page, and you have to have either a fan page or a company page, definitely a company page, in order to do this. So you can't just do it from your own personal Facebook page, and I would definitely recommend doing that anyway, starting a page for your business. So that's sort of the workshop of those platforms. Our appendix really just is basically the same thing. It's the marketing strategy, it's the digital tool set, and things we didn't talk about here, which are part of our digital tool set, is like AdWords and email marketing. Is definitely a big piece of this, which we don't go into. We can go into that on another video. We don't talk about live and in-person stuff, so I think that's really important though. Like if you're having an event, the MC should stand up there and say, hey everybody, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow blah blah blah, and get out your phone and blah blah blah, and just, you need to have that, because you can have a group of 100 people and suddenly you get them to follow. That's your sort of audience number one. You're super engaged, like they're there, they want to work with you, so you want to grab them. If you're in a room full of people right now, get them to engage and follow you back right now, friends and family. So content strategy, another piece of it I want to talk about though, and is like what you have and what needs to be created. And I think that people get super overwhelmed by all this, and they say, oh my God, I'm gonna be on social media, I have to post every other day, and I don't have the stuff that I'm gonna need to post, and I gotta make stuff, and I gotta write a blog, and I gotta paint 50 paintings, and I gotta take 1,000 photographs of them and touch them up and stuff. Stop. Just say to yourself, all right, what do I have in the hopper that I can use? It's like, think of it as Throwback Thursday. At least half of your stuff should just be like, I've got it, it's done, I'm just gonna take a picture of it, and I'm gonna put it out. And I know the description is gonna be simple, I'm just gonna do it. Stop worrying about creating new content. When we tell people to blog, it's like, look, use the blogs that you have already. Just push them out and use them. And write new stuff, great, but just use what you have for now. If you have a book or a paper that you did, just break it out into like 10 pieces. If you have a video that you did that's like 20 minutes long, make 20 one-minute videos out of it. Don't go crazy trying to make new stuff all the time. If you have the resources to do that, you want to be fresh, then go for it. But if you're starting out, just use what you have, call it a Throwback Thursday, and just go for it. Okay, these are just reiteration of traffic driving strategies. It's just another graphic that we put together and we like. Brand awareness, audience engagement, audience development, and call to action creates your conversion and ROI, right? Those things all lead into the center. And you need to be doing all of those things at once to create that conversion and that call to action and that ROI. So there's a 4-pronged approach that we use as well. Same things in a different graphic, good content, sharing and partnering really smartly, creating a reason to follow, giving people that value prop, and then the call to action, asking them to convert. Get all that stuff together and you will actually get to the 4th piece. Here's your sort of digital profit funnel. All of these things are broken out into separate pieces to get to your call to action, which is at the top. Landing pages, website, owned and operated, which is all your platforms, email, your partnerships, social media stuff, your YouTube channel, your AdWords, your paid advertising around that, and then press and PR, and all that stuff leading up. Again, audiences, and I think this is a really key slide here. Not only are your potential audiences, huge, and that blue box in the middle is probably way too big for your audience. You're much smaller. You're probably the size of a pencil dot, depending on who you are. But the audiences around that, and I like to think of it as like this cross, right, with like different stuff in different directions. The one up top could just be millennials. The one to the left could be boomers. The one to the right could be women. The one to the bottom could be, women in Czechoslovakia. Like, what is your sort of target, and how do you think of your audience, and which ones are you reaching, right? And then obviously you have the social networks, and their size is daunting. The last slide is about measurement, and I think it's just really important, and in the most simplistic way, you can go crazy with dashboards and decks, and you can look at your Google AdWords all the time and really measure it and create an Excel doc that tracks it and all that stuff. But just set yourself a benchmark and say, all right, I'm going to reach it. And if you're not getting there, say your benchmark is 100 followers a month, and your 1 week goes by and you've got 2 followers, you're doing something wrong. So just rethink your strategy. Keep trying new things until you find something that works based on what we've been talking about, but just try different things. When something works, keep doing it. There's a reason why it worked, and just keep track of that. Take a screenshot of your social accounts right now, each one, look at the numbers, and in like 6 months, you'll be like, oh my God, look how lame I was. I'm like awesome now. And I have so many followers, and I'm so happy, and I'm enjoying this, and I'm actually making some money. I hope this was helpful, and please email me, I guess, with any questions. Maybe we'll do another video. Thanks.
You